Okay, I think we got it. Seems if
Are
I
we on
call
Facebook?
Facebook bad names, it starts to cooperate.
Are we up?
Well, we're getting there. So let me see. Preview broadcast. I gotta get us on Periscope. I gotta put the title in Periscope. I love this last minute running around. This is really not fun. But this is the kind of stuff I can't do until we go live.
Right. Well,
Home,
that's what the pre-show is all about, making sure
live, try YouTube. So the software we're using is called vMix, and they are having a live show themselves right now.
Oh,
And somebody from our group just messaged me and said that they're adding YouTube comments, which is truly, truly awesome.
excellent.
So I
Excellent.
can't tell if we're live on. Oh, wait, here, live streaming. Can I see it? Come on.
Where are you looking? You want me to look on Facebook for you?
Yeah, you can keep an eye on Facebook, and I'm going to try to get. I don't know if I can't remember if YouTube went live on its own last time or might have gone on live by itself. So I'll leave that and wait and see what happens. I had an idea. It just flew out of my head. Wonder where it landed.
We are on Facebook.
Okay, good. Say hi to the nice folks.
Good. Let's say hi to the nice folks. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the BA Zone's live pre-show. Today, we'll be discussing the mystery of interface analysis, or which interface is which.
Are you mocking my title?
What's that? I'm not fun. No, I'm not punking.
That's okay. You can.
Our live show will begin in about, what's that, about 6 minutes, actually?
Oh yeah, I forgot to
I
start the
think so.
timer. Actually, I had the timer up and it went away too because I had to restart. Because it's not fun unless something crashes.
That's
Let's see. What do
true.
we got? We got 4 minutes. So let me reset it to 4 minutes.
4 minutes. And if you did not catch last week's show, that was 3 steps to requirements, workshops, or JAD success. If you didn't catch that, or you'd like to watch it again, feel free to do that and check it out on periscope.tv, the BA Zone, or facebook.com, the BA Zone, or YouTube. We are now on YouTube, so just search for the BA Zone. And for those folks who did not know, I don't know if you know this, Kathleen, today is National Stuffing Day.
That seems to be a little
Stuffing,
late in the game.
it is, right? But I guess in preparation of the festivities, National Stuffing Day, and that is my favorite part of the meal. Unless, of course, you throw something funky in there like oysters.
Yeah.
Um, everybody, I'm not bashing oysters for those oyster lovers, but I just can't do it.
Yeah. No. That's not going to happen.
And now there is all fantastic ways to make stuffing. I was watching the other day, people putting them in bundt pans so that you get all
Ooh,
those nice crispy edges all the way around.
that sounds really
And
good.
then slice it the next day to make the turkey sandwich with the cranberry and everything on it. So
Nice.
pretty good, pretty good. Anybody out there, please
Oops.
remember to follow or like us and sign up to get notified when we go live. And
What did I? Oh, there it
just
is.
enter BAZ into the chat to sign up for our mailing list. And then you'll know when we're going live and all our good stuff.
Yes, I've been
And we're just
busy playing with my geek toys. I just have to remember how I got this last time to show the comments from the right post. Let me see if I can figure that out. So we've got now. If you're on Facebook, you can type into the comments or in the messenger if you're doing this outside of the live show. I don't know. I guess it will also work after the live show, but regardless, if you type BAZ in, that will give you the link to the mailing list. And if you type subscribe in, that will hook you up so that you subscribe to our page, and you'll then get notified when we're going to go live, which is kind of a win-win-win.
win. No losses there. So if you're just joining us, welcome to the BA Zone's live pre-show. We're about to get started in a few minutes. Tonight's topic is the mystery of interface analysis, or which interface is which.
Got it. Okay.
So stay tuned whether you're a business analyst, want to be one, or you play one on TV, and be sure to tag your coworkers, friends, someone on the elevator, everyone your butcher. Actually, there's probably not too many of those anymore.
That's probably one of those specialty things now, right?
It probably is. But it's probably time for this week's pre-show trivia question.
Oh, yeah.
Brought to you.
This one. Sorry.
Brought to you by, I know she gets so excited with the trivia.
Oh, wait, I got to bring the pups up.
By Tinker and Murphy. Get those little.
Here they are. Oh, wait, somewhere. Wait, hang on. Your voice went away again.
Uh-oh.
Okay, try again.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, so today's question is, how many dots are there on 2 dice or die? How many dots are there? Ponder that, and we'll give you the answer before we start the live show. And what are the odds that you know that? We shall see.
Well, I guess it depends on how you spent your youth, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Window go. Come back, window.
Yes. If the word craps is a familiar phrase to you, you have a misspent youth.
Or well spent, depending on how you look at things.
Depending on how lucky you were.
Did you win or not?
Oh my gosh.
All right, let me get this work. I just lost one of my windows, so I'm going to fumper here for one more second.
Okay, well, I'll give them the answer.
Okay.
I will give them the answer to the question because we're almost ready to go live. So, how many dots are there on 2 die? The answer is, believe it or not, 42. How many of you got that right? Which is also the number of the most important question of all. The answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy books.
Which is why I love this question, because that is one of my all-time favorite series, and I miss Douglas Adams all the time.
That's true.
I so wish that he was still around, because I think he would absolutely have gone bonkers when he saw the Pixel earbuds, which are our first step closer to Babelfish.
There you go.
All right, so we look like we're up on Periscope. Hello, Periscope. If you folks are out there, you want to say hi or whatever, I think we've got the tool working, but I won't know for sure until somebody says something. We seem to be up on Facebook, which is good. So now I'm just going to check on, let's see, YouTube. And it says offline. Well, we might have to let that one go because I don't know why that would be offline. It should have worked.
Yes, because I don't know that they could actually see me dancing to stretch out the time like they do on TV.
That's a shame because it worked last week. Oh well, I'll have to upload a copy of this after the fact for the folks on YouTube. I apologize, YouTube, in advance. We'll figure it out for next time.
Okay. And we are ready then?
I think we're ready to rock and roll, yes? Are you ready? I'm tell you what, I'm just going to take a quick hit of water, then we can get started.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the BA Zone Live. Tonight we're going to talk about the mystery of interface analysis, or which interface is which. And if you are already documenting interfaces, answer a Y in the comments, or a no, or an N, just to let us know. This session is a continuation of our deep dives into our series titled 10 Techniques for Better Requirements Gathering and Elicitation. And that one and all of them in the series at periscope.tv, the BA Zone, or facebook.com, the BA Zone, or just go to our website, thebazone.com. And please share this session or invite everyone you think would find this information interesting, or someone you would like to get a job for. Maybe you're a mother, you want to get those kids out of the house. I'm not sure, but it's anyone there. And before we kick
or with, whatever works.
A brother who just seems to be hanging around playing, games and stuff. But before we kick things off, as we always do, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Marianne Morrison.
And I'm Kathleen Sinnott, and together we have built the BA Zone. We're here to be a resource for all the business analysts out there, along with anybody else who works on the requirements process.
Okay. So I guess we're ready to go. Let's get started.
Okay, one sec. Let me get you set up.
The mystery of interface.
This. Okay.
So let's start with the definition. So basically, at its core, interface analysis is about mapping out where in the process information is exchanged. Input, output, sounds simple, right? Not all interfaces are the same, however, and we're going to get into that and all of that information.
Okay. Oh, I see. Kathleen, there we go. Yeah, we're getting there. Dancing as fast as I can, but getting it there. Yeah, so they're not all the same, which is all part of the fun. Now, why did we lose the... Tell me we're going to lose this connection now, too. Wait a second, hang on. Okay, it seemed to have skipped one. That's fine, we don't need that one. All right, so the first question you need to ask yourself or the other people you're working with is what types of interfaces need to be reviewed? There's really all different kinds. And yet this is one of those times, again, and I keep coming back to this because it keeps happening. And it's a recurring theme in our lives. People use the same term, but they mean completely different things. So you need to be very specific. You need to laser in on exactly what it is each one is talking about. So for example, when some people say interface, they're referring to information sent to a device. So for example, like if you're going to send something to a printer to get print out, or if you're doing a push notification to a mobile device, something like that. Of course, that's not the same as the interface between two systems, which can be a single or bidirectional exchange of information between those systems. Same word, completely different meanings. It can also mean a business process where information is exchanged between different business processes. Now, that could be software-based, or it could be SneakerNet, or it could be a combination of both. And for anybody who's not familiar with SneakerNet, that's just a cutesy term some people use to refer to when people are actually, interacting as humans and handing information off between themselves. And then, of course, there's my favorite one, because it's the one nearest and dearest to my heart, which is the application user interface, the UI. And that's the screens and messaging that the system provides to people who are working with the application. So that's 4 different ways that people could be referring to interface, and they all mean something completely different. So that's why you need to be very, very clear.
Okay. So within those various interface types, there are 3 types of interface relationships that range from simple to complex. So you could have the one-on-one, and that refers to a situation where there's only one interface to one system. So maybe it's sort of sending something to a printer, that's an example of a one-on-one. A one-to-many refers to a situation where there are many interfaces to one system. So for example, if we're talking like a healthcare system, there could be multiple channels of patient information intake. It could come from file feeds. It could come from data being entered in an application. It could come from data being entered from a mobile, hello Murphy, a mobile device into the system. So that's an example of like a one-to-many relationship. And then you have the many-to-many. And this could be a very complex, staying with the same type of example, a very complex interface where there are multiple interfaces, inputs, outputs, etc. So keeping with that same example, you could have those multiple channels of intake also going out to multiple different systems. So for example, that same patient information might go out to a fulfillment house to send maybe some information on disease management back to a patient. Or it could also be going out to a survey company to survey, how was your stay at the hospital, or to a pharmacy, with drugs. And that information can be going back and forth between these different types of interfaces. And that can get very complex. It can go into billing and finance and that, but that's an example of the many-to-many relationship. Kathleen, you have anything to add to that? Nope, your sound is gone. So I will punt while your sound is not there. I don't know if anyone else is hearing you, but I'm not hearing you. And that's what live is all about. So we'll go on to defining the interfaces. There are 4 ways, basically, that a business analyst can define their interface and how they would do that. The first one is what? Are you there, Kath?
Yeah, sorry. I forgot I turned it off when he started barking. I'll turn it off again until you're done.
Go ahead. You can carry on. Or is he done barking? I'll carry on. Okay. So there may be what is the name, the title, or the label used to refer to the interface. And what is the exchange method between the different entities? Is it a file feed? Is it, JPEGs, whatever's going back and forth? And what is the format used for that exchange? And how frequent is that information exchanged? Is it on demand, daily, hourly, monthly, every so many hours? What is the frequency? And those are the types of things that define the different interfaces.
Okay, I think I'm really here still.
You are there.
All right, one sec here. So since I'm back on, let me just real quick remind everybody who might be joining us. If you would like to join our mailing list, you can. Here, let me bring this up. One sec.
And I'm not sure, but your sound is no longer there, but I'm seeing the cute pictures of Murphy and Tinker.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, good. We'll take that. All right, so let me say again. So if you would like to sign up for our mailing list, which will get you information via email about our updates or just general news that we're sharing, you can go to, and that seems to be moving too quickly again, you can go to the bazone.com / oops, see, okay, I'm going to just say that today's going to be like this, / survey ebook. However, there's a much easier way, and this is the one I recommend because clearly things are, oh, you know why? I know what happened. Okay, because we had a crash before, so that's why nothing's working the way I wanted to. The other thing you can do is if you're on Facebook, if you go to the comments and you type in BAZ, just the letters BAZ, that will also get you the information on how to sign up for the mailing list. And if you would like to follow us, if you type subscribe in over on Facebook in the comments, you will subscribe, which means you will get notified about when we're going live. Now I understand what's going wrong at least. All right, let's try to get this back on track. All right, so you did that one, so I will do this one. So, like everything else, when you're going through the documentation process, you have to collect the information, but you also want to document it because A, we can't keep all of this in the brain, and B, it's easier to exchange things when it's in a format that other people can use. So there are 3 basic tools and techniques to use for documenting the interfaces. One is to map the process flows. So, in whether it is a system to system or system to people or even an offline process, you want to make sure you get all of those mapped out because you want to look for redundancies, you want to look for gaps, and you also want to look for places where maybe something is being done offline that should be done online. You also want to document the business rules that trigger and manage the information exchange. Again, looking for all those same kind of things. You want to make sure that there's no overlaps, there's no conflicts, there's no duplication. And you're looking for any places, too, where you can maybe streamline things. But if nothing else, even if you don't see any of those things, it's really important to get them documented so that nothing gets lost in the changes that are going to be made as a part of the project. Next, you want to document the details of the information being exchanged. So that's the type, the format, valid values, field lengths, basically what we're moving towards here, but not maybe doing completely at this point, although you could, is building your data dictionary. So you want to get all the information that you possibly can to whatever level you can get it. And then, whatever you can't get in this stage, you can always go back and add to, but at least you've got a starting point. Just as a side note again, because as you'll notice as we go through this process, that the user interface is sort of my happy place. You also, while you're doing this, just to make your life easier, you may as well also be taking your screen caps and mapping those and documenting those on top of the process flows, because you're going to need those anyway. So since you're already going through the system, you might as well go ahead and capture any of those that you can get. Right? I just harp on this a little bit, Mayor, right?
No, just a tad. And also, if as long as you're tapping into the data dictionary, you can also make sure you're capturing any glossary items, because
yes.
that is because an open record means different things to different people. So make sure you get that that glossary going as well. You want to take the tips there, Kathleen, or?
Oh, sure. This is my favorite topic, so I can go on for days on this one. Hang on, I'll switch it back. Oh, she knows. I've bored her to tears on this topic many times.
But I love it. I love it.
Yeah, well, it's the one that definitely I can go off on, and sometimes my kind dear friend reminds me that other people are not as excited about it. Okay, so interface analysis tips. Make a note of which are run in parallel and which are dependent. So basically, if something can happen at the same time, that's great. But you want to be, we want to pay special attention to the ones that are dependent on a previous step, or that are what's the preset? I can never remember what that word is. That's required for the step after it. There's a word for that. I can't remember what it is. You want to identify the roles and permissions required for each exchange. Now, this is not just on the user permission level. It could also be on the system level, because I won't get into details, but I worked on a project not too long ago where they were having problems, and they kept blaming it on the users. And it turned out that actually somebody had changed the permissions in the database, and two systems that needed to talk to each other were no longer allowed to talk to each other, and that can be a problem. Because they can't call tech support and say, hey, I'm not getting the data I'm supposed to get. So yes, you can't be too careful, you can't dig too deep. And if somebody tells you don't need to know something, you probably need to know a lot about it. At each point, ask about the impact of each, and how conflicts and errors and omissions and timing issues are going to be handled. And you're going to have to ask each one of these as independent questions. Don't shove them together like we did here. But you're going to want to ask them, and you're going to want to ask them a couple of times, a couple of different people, because sometimes different people are only going to have the point of view for part of it and not the other. So while somebody may tell you, oh, we don't have to worry about timing issues, but if you go to somebody else, they'll go, oh, no, timing issues are a big deal. So make sure you ask this of all the different people that you get access to. And if at all possible, use the buddy system. So what I mean here is, as you're going through this, you're going to overload your brain at some point, and your eyes are going to start seeing things that your brain is telling you should be there, but they may not. So if you're lucky enough to have a team member or just somebody else who's involved in the process who's willing to work with you, it can be really good to have another set of eyes look at it before you present it to anybody else, because they're more likely to catch the things that your brain has been automatically inserting because it's a little tired and wants more coffee.
The buddy system works well in just about every part of our jobs. Whether you're doing interviews or group interviews as well, the buddy system is an excellent system. So find your wing woman, wing man, and get that buddy system going. Okay.
Wow, did we really blow through that quickly?
We did kind of blow through that quickly.
Let me just double check, because I did notice that the screen skipped. So I'm going to just check offline to make sure that we didn't skip anything, because it looked like it had skipped at least one slide, but it wasn't super important. We kind of mentioned it in passing. Let me just make sure we got them all. Come on, load. I know I've got a lot of things open in your little system, but you can handle this. Okay,
I believe you.
We did that. Yes, I've been talking to my systems a lot lately.
Yes.
Hey, no, we did. Hey, we're good.
So Kathleen, let me ask you a question, since
Sure.
we have some time here. We're talking about, define, the interface and the exchange relationships between each other. What do you call it when you actually step through? Well, I guess that is just an interface. That's the application stepping through the screens and doing the whole mind mapping, that mapping that you do when we go through applications.
Yeah, no, that's actually not the mind map. That's actually it's a workflow and a process flow. And so for me, the difference between the process flow and the workflow is the workflow. tends to incorporate things that may be outside the system. So, it might be that, they go out to the field and they collect information, like, the nurses were going out and they're collecting information, and in the beginning they were doing it on paper and having to put it into the system later when they got home, and then I would document the system that they were doing it on when they got home. That's the workflow, because that involves all the different pieces of it. And in hindsight, I should have put in like the 3-hour trip that one poor nurse was making each way. But the process flow focuses in just on the interaction of the data between, the person and the system, but also the systems itself. So it's a slightly different focus. And a lot of times one turns into the other for me, just for the sake of clarity, because it's easier to maintain one document than two, as long as you're keeping track of everything. So what I do, and we'll get into this, we'll do some examples later, but I then also tie the screen caps to that, and I put like a code on each screen and tie it onto the workflow so that anybody, whether they have access to the system or not, can take the document, take the pile of screen captures and walk through and see, okay, so at this step they would see this screen. Okay, does that make sense? Are we missing any data? And go do it that way. It tends to get people more focused. And like I said, it gets around any problems as far as permissions that, maybe, or, not that it ever happens, like, the system is down or you don't have connection that day or whatever. So I like to have it available, I say paper, but it could just be electronic. You could have it up on a screen. But the idea is you shouldn't have to always be logging into the system and working your way into whatever step you're looking for, because sometimes that can take a long time. Sometimes there are timing issues built into it. So for example, they needed to submit something, and then maybe, the doctors or the I'm sorry, I'm going to forget the name of the senior RN, what do they call? The supervisor? Mm-hmm. Is that it? So the RN would put in the data, the RN who was on the field, and then somebody would review it. Well, there's obviously a time lag there. But when you're going through and you're documenting process and discussing it with people, you don't want to wait for that time lag to happen. So by having the workflow in front of you and you have the screens in front of you, everybody can see what's going on, and you can kind of fast forward through those time gaps. Is that what you were looking for? Because like I said, I go off on these topics for hours.
No, I know you do. And it's an excellent point to put the screen caps in there as you're designing. And in the past, you and I both know that it's very helpful when you get to the technical spec, not so much the business requirement. Kathleen and I tend to combine a business requirement with a technical spec because we have that technical background. So our business requirements are a lot more robust than some of them are, and we kind of cross a little line, but it's very helpful to the developers. But when you put those screen caps in there and tie that referencing back to business rules, use cases, the testing people, the QA people will love you, and so will the developers, because it actually, you should definitely do that when you're following your requirements, so that you can literally follow and tie everything back together, so there is no misunderstanding, across the board between, the people that'll be using the system, building the system, and testing the system. So I just thought I'd give you a little more information, and Kathleen gives that information better than I do. So, but that's was the purpose of my question. Thank you very much.
Well, and so I'm going to keep going a little bit here, because this is another topic that keeps coming up in my life. So a lot of times when you're working in the agile environments, a lot of people like to use that as an excuse to not document anything. Just fast forward through and just do things and don't worry about it. We'll deal with it later, which is not truly what agile is all about anyway. But what I suggest to people who are living that world is, if you get pushback and people say, no, we don't have time for this and we don't need this documentation, say fine and go ahead and do it for yourself. And then in a couple of weeks, when people are getting confused and you see that they're doing my favorite thing, they're talking about things this way instead of talking to each other or understanding each other, you can just casually bring these out and say, well, look, here's an example. And then all of a sudden, all those people who are anti-documentation are like, oh, wow, that was really helpful. Yeah, I know, that's why we do this. And it actually, it's one of those things that saves time, even though it feels like it's taking time in the beginning. Because once you've got all of that, and you've got people who are, maybe a little fuzzy on the details, or they're insisting that that field is on that screen, and you can go, no, it's not. See, not here. It then moves everything forward much faster. So that's just another soapbox of mine. We'll get into all these in detail.
And try not to say, ha ha, told you so. Not to do that.
I would never.
You may think that, but you can't say that.
You can think it all you want. You can smile to yourself even, but yeah, you don't want to say it because it'll make people unhappy.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think that about wraps up our show.
She wants me to stop going on this topic.
No, no, not at all, not at all. We'll if
Bringing
you're in
back
the
lots of
state,
memories of meetings that she's had me, and
yeah,
she's
I
kicking
know,
me under
sorry.
the table.
No, no, yeah, yeah, we're good that way.
Oh,
Okay, so we'll be back next Tuesday. You can catch us on all the regular stations.
and I
And
do apologize to YouTube. We will get it working for next week, I promise.
that's right. And we hope you'll be able to join us then. I think, what is our next show?
Reverse engineering,
Reverse engineering. Ooh, it's
another
getting
favorite
so
of mine.
So please remember to tag any of your friends, family, coworkers, strangers on the train, anyone who you think will find this content helpful. And please, everybody, have a terrific Thanksgiving, and take a much needed nap. We'll be taking a much needed nap after we feast. And as always, we're here to help you own the zone of business analysis. So thanks again for coming by, and see you next time in the BA Zone Live. Kathleen, take us out.
Happy Turkey Day, everyone.
Take care, everyone.